Hi.
Hi. So we're here with my dad, Dwayne Wallen. Um, it is June of 2023, and I thought we would just have a record of some things that Dad dealt with when he was a kid, and how he felt about things, and just kind of give a slice of how things were. Not only as a child, but as an adult and everything else. So we asked a bunch of people to ask questions. And so what I was going to intend to do here is have just say, okay, this is the questions from, in this case, from Jill. Jill had a lot of questions. So if you think, wow, this is really getting whatever, then just let me know. But
Before you finish, start your order as well.
okay. Okay. So testing. One, two, whoops. Three. Let's not do that. Forgot how to freaking operate a rewind, record. Okay. Here we go.
Got it right?
I got that.
Okay, Dad, the first question I have here is from Jill, or a set of questions. Jill had a lot of questions. But anyhow, first question, she had a bunch of them, first of all, from childhood. And so she said, in your childhood, who were your best friends?
Eddie Powers probably was one of my best friends. He was more Dick's age, but he and I got along real good. We did a lot of camping, singing, being together. He was probably my best friend, probably. I didn't have a lot of friends my age. For some reason, I was the oldest in my family, and I tended to be bossy, I guess.
So next question from Jill is, what were your favorite activities as a child?
Activities. I wish I would have had more time to think of that one. Activities. I guess I watched TV a lot. I guess
As a kid?
oh yeah, well, we didn't have it as a kid. You're right. We listened to the radio in the morning, got the weather and news in the morning usually. That changed when my father had a mental breakdown, and one morning I came down and the radio was smashed into pieces. But we did Deacon Doubleday was the program we listened to in the morning to get the weather and stuff. So that was my morning. I spent a lot of time at neighborhood farms helping out with chores and driving the tractor. They let me drive the tractor, whereas we didn't have a tractor that I could drive, and I spent a lot of time doing that. Every time there was farm work, I was around. That was my outside activity outside of the home. Mom always wanted to have gardens. We never seemed to want to work in Mom's gardens, and I never know why, but that was, you fight it all the way when Mom wanted you to come and weed in her garden, but you would do it for the neighbors. So it was kind of a funny thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, next question was, what was your favorite meal as a child?
Oh my. Mother was a plain person, a plain cooker. I mean, she didn't do a lot of stuff, but she did do good spaghetti and meatballs, that kind of stuff. But no Mexican food or any of those recipes seemed to be in her schedule. So we ate pretty American, or whatever you would call it. And like I say, Italian now and then was good.
So more comfort food then, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I think that's what they call it anyhow. Okay. So, lots of good ones here, but do you remember the births of your siblings? And how did adding to the family change your life?
I don't remember the birth of my brother because I was apparently too young to be involved in that.
Yeah.
I do remember that Betty was born when we lived up on the hill when we rented from Uncle Raymond on his farm or sharecropped or whatever we did. All I know is we lived in his house and we did a lot of things there that were home good things. Like I remember walking down on the snow where the snow was plowed up because there was water in the road. So we had to walk on the snowbanks to get to school because I started school when we were living there on Uncle Raymond's farm, what we always called up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But Betty was born, and my brother and I hid behind the stove because what they call the lady that comes to help with childbirth, midwife was somebody we didn't know, so we hid behind the stove so she couldn't see us. We were just would have been 4 or 5, and he would have been 3 probably. But I remember that. I don't remember when Esther was born because she was born in the hospital, and I don't remember anything about going there or anything.
So, I mean, do you remember that changing your, adding to the family, changing your life?
Oh yeah, a lot of change, but one thing that never changed is I was always the boss because I was always the oldest.
Yeah.
Stay there. Don't trip over that. Anyhow, my nose runs all the time. I remember that my grandmother used to come and to help take care of us kids when new children were born. My grandmother never understood why grandmother was called Grandmother Aylesworth. Whether she was never married to my grandfather, I mean, I assume she was because she had children by him, but I never understood why she was called Grandma Aylesworth. And then the other thing we used to call her is Grandma in Syracuse because she lived in Syracuse and we lived in Fulton. But she came and lived with us several times. She was very dependable and always kind to us, but I never understood why she didn't have the same name we did. And it never, as a child, it didn't bother me. But as an adult, I always wondered.
Well, let's see. Here's a good one that we'll see how you answer it. What did you do as a child that you now realize was really dumb?
Really dumb. Really dumb.
Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with a lot of things, but
Really? For me?
this is your interview.
I can't think of what really dumb means in a teenager.
Well, right.
Sometimes the friends we make are really not friends. That's kind of dumb, but you don't know that until you spend time with them and then find out that not that they're going to put a knife in your back, but
Right.
that they're not really your friends.
Right.
I didn't have a lot of bad influence on things like that I can remember.
Okay. Well, again, as a child, what was the best piece of advice you received from either your father or your mother or from another adult?
Oh,
How long do we have, huh?
well, no, I didn't get a lot of advice. Basically, I think because I was oldest and took charge, they didn't tell me how to run my life very much. They assumed that because I was taking charge, that I was knowing what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't think I received from any other. I mean, Mr. Cunningham used to give me a lot of advice, not all of which I would repeat here, but I mean, he was the old man that I worked with. My mother and father didn't mind me going there because they didn't have to feed me when I was at his house. I ate at his house.
Yeah.
His mother or his wife used to make strawberry shortcake as a meal. Oh, I love strawberry shortcake as a meal. Oh man. And things like that my mother we never had that much strawberries.
Right.
And a lot of them, we put them up for winter and stuff. So we didn't eat a lot of them right off the vine, but yeah, I hope that answers your question, gets you there somewhere.
I think that's just fine. There's not a right or wrong answer here. There's only just,
Well,
okay.
if I don't go far enough, then we'll know.
Yeah. Well, there's so many questions that this can take days if we have too long. So FYI, you've got a lot of people that care about you. So anyhow, question about your adolescence. We got the next 5 questions from Jill about your adolescence, but when, do you know what year you learned to drive?
Oh yeah, probably 10. I drove a tractor for several years, and when it was time for me to get a driver's license to drive on the road, the we call them brownie, the guys wear the brown uniform that were the inspectors. They took me out to do the drive, and I knew where the course was because I had, done research. And he took me on a totally different course, much longer. And it was concerning to me because I said, how come we went all of this far? It's supposed to be just this other stuff. And he said, I was trying to find out if you really had more experience than you say you do, or if you were reckless. And he decided apparently that I was just more experienced than what normal people are because of all the farm driving I had done, because I did get my license at 16.
Okay. Well, along the same lines, what was your first car?
I had a piece of junk car that I could say was toggled together. It was an old Plymouth sedan. I didn't have that too awful long. My first car that I was kind of proud of was the Oldsmobile that I had, and I really liked that. It was more of a nice riding car and everything, not a day to go to work car, but get rid of you. I don't know who that is. They'll call back, maybe. My Oldsmobile, I was driving down, going from Fulton to Minetto on the Fulton Minetto Road, and I was going the speed limit, and some guy tried to pass me, and I said, he can't pass me, and I stepped on the gas. Wrong thing to do. He didn't see me do that, and he pulled over, and his bumper caught on my front fender and kind of ruined that Oldsmobile. Yep, that was that one.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably still 16.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. And now this one is not really, it's along the same lines, but it doesn't have to be something you actually owned. But when you were a teenager, what was your dream car at the time? I mean, what car is like, oh man, I really wish I had the money for one of those?
Probably V8 Ford. I mean, my mother and dad had a Henry J, little 4-banger light car, and I would go down when I was No, I must have been 18 because I was going to the bars and my buddy and I decided to race and he had this big Packard.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had such a little junky car that I got out front. And then when he tried to pass me, I would keep pulling in front of him, not let him pass. He was so ticked off because I beat him because he could have beat me power wise, but I wouldn't let him. That was the kind of an ornery person I was.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how you want to answer this, but this is the question. Were things that you noticed in your family, or what were the things that you noticed in your family that weren't typical?
Typical. Uh, weren't typical. That's really a hard. I should have had some time to think of that one, but
Yeah, we can go back to that.
I don't. I don't know what typical was. I guess
Right. Absolutely.
being eldest in the clan, I kind of set the example, not followed it.
Mhm. Okay. Are there things that you now look back on and realize were related to your father's mental illness?
Oh yeah, much of I mean, my mother had to go to work to support us. My father, when he was there, he was a little bit shaky. You never knew for sure where he was coming from or what he was going to do. I remember him having times when we were not sure that we wanted to be around him because we were not sure what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's very disheartening to a child to know that this thing can switch all of a sudden. And that was where Dad was. He wanted to. Now, when I was older and living on my own, and he came to my house and he was saying he was having problems, and the mental health people told him they had to wait for a month to get services, and he was suicidal, is what he was,
Mm-hmm.
and I called the mental health people in Onondaga County where I lived, because he lived in Oswego County, and that's where he had gone. Anyhow, I called the people in Onondaga County, and they said, well, we could help if he lived in Onondaga County, but we can't help him because he lives in Oswego County. And I says, as of now, he lives with me because I can't send him home in this attitude of suicidal attitude. And they took him in and got him straightened out. So the mental attitude, I don't know that I noticed it a lot as a child, but as a teenager and as a young adult, I realized what was going on and was able to be involved in it.
Okay. I'm sure that was tough. I mean, the thing, and I could be way off on this, Dad, but the thing for me, I was, and maybe you felt more, there was more justification than I did, but I I felt it was barbaric to give him shock therapy. I think that at the time that was the best they had to try to handle that, but I feel like long term it
Yeah,
had to be bad on him.
yeah,
But I don't know if that's unfair or but that's the way I've always felt is that I mean of course they deal with it with drugs now, which is probably another story,
yeah.
um, but yeah, um, I was just wondering. Anyhow, we'll go on to the next one. As a young adult, was it difficult for you to move so far away after high school?
No,
No.
I didn't move away until I went into the Air Force.
Right.
Now, when I graduated high school, I was working at a dairy, And I was only, what was I, 17, I guess, when I graduated. Because I graduated a year earlier than everybody else. But at the dairy, Mr. Rogers, the son that ran the milk bottling plant, was drafted by the U.S. Army. And I took over running the plant at 18 years old as a alpha male, I guess you would say. I've always been the boss, so it wasn't hard for me to be the boss. And I knew the job, so it wasn't hard for me to do the job. I was a little bit, working for the dairy was a little bit kind of depressing because they didn't pay very well. And the only way for me to get a raise was to get married. They would give me $5 more a week. And I said, first place, I didn't have a girlfriend that I was willing to marry, but second place, that I didn't think that was fair to expect you to get married in order to get a raise. Yeah. And I ran the milk plant. I ran some of the routes sometimes because the guy that was the milk peddler, the driver, was or had alcohol problems, and he would sometimes not come in because he was hungover. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, he did come in with alcohol problem at one time, and out in the country, he laid that truck over on the side that I was standing on, and God protected me, and I fell off into the bushes when the truck started to come this way, because I wasn't holding on, I was just leaning in. So when I fell off, I fell into a bunch of bushes that protected me from getting hurt really bad, and fell down before the truck came over, so where I would have been hurt really bad. But I was ready to lead when I went in the Air Force and spent 4 months in training for bomb navigation systems, and then they wanted instructors, and I stayed as an instructor. I liked doing training. Mm-hmm. Did that answer any of your questions?
Yeah, I think a lot of them. And I think there's a lot of other questions about the military, like the job in the military, but we'll skip that because you've already kind of talked about it. But when you joined the Air Force, where was your basic training at?
I started at San Antonio, Texas, and then we went to Lowry Air Force Base after about 2 months, and then I stayed there the rest of my career, rest of my 4 years. Okay. At Lowry in Denver, Aurora, actually.
So when you went to basic training and you joined the military, and obviously but did you get homesick?
No, I didn't get home anything. No, I stayed there. No, I didn't. I really felt my place was there. Okay. I didn't feel like I wish I could get out of here and go home.
No. Okay. So, tell me about, because I know it was at Lowry that you first met Mom. I've heard the story about, she was working at a theater, but what was the first thing you noticed about Mom?
I didn't meet her at the theater.
You wasn't?
She came to the USO with one of her high school friends. Was at the YMCA. And I actually tried to date her friend, whose name was Patsy. And Patsy thought I was too serious, and so she passed me off to Judy. And then we actually continued to go to the USO, only it was at the YWCA where we went after that. And we did a lot of courting that way. And then we got a little more serious, but yeah.
What was the first thing you noticed? I mean,
well, what's always the first thing you notice with a beautiful woman? You notice their beauty. Yeah. You notice their personality. She was very flexible, I guess you would say, or not inserting. I know women who are bossy and she was not that way.
Well, I'm not sure if you're going to have one of these, but let's give it a shot. Again from Jill, who was a celebrity crush at the time?
Who was a celebrity?
Crush. Who would you have just see on TV or whatever, and you just think, oh wow, she is so, or he, but I assume it's a she. I mean, somebody that you
Well,
saw that Lana
I guess the
Carter.
only celebrity crush that I ever had become Jill's name.
Yeah.
The lady's name was Claudine Longet, and that Jill ended up with the middle name of Claudine because of my crush on Claudine Longet. I had no idea where she went in her life. I just know she was popular at the time.
Yeah, I knew that story.
Oh, okay.
Well, not everybody did, so that's
Not
why we're
everybody
doing this.
did, yeah.
Okay, so next, was there ever a time that you were worried about the ability to financially support your family?
Well, I guess worry is the word that there are times that I didn't know where I was going to get money for the food that we needed or whatever. We were sort of limited to who we knew and what we knew. I don't know that we really ever did go without food. Maybe unlike your family where you had so many, and I mean, your mother used to say, why doesn't he have insurance on the car? He knows it's the law. And I says, why doesn't he have food on the table for those children? He's got to make decisions.
Yeah.
I didn't have to make those decisions like that, anywhere near as grabbing as those.
Well, the one time I can think of that you might have had, and I have no idea because I was just a teenager at the time, or a young preteen actually, but when you lost your job at GE and then you started working at NRN Microwave, probably for less money, I'm guessing, but and then that job ended and you were having to commute to Rochester, I think it was, and I would assume that was a bit of a financial struggle as well as a concern.
Yeah.
When you were doing that, which is why it was such a blessing when you got the job at Hewlett Packard.
Right.
Up here, but
I could get a job in Rochester, but the travel from my home to Rochester was, you had to go on the toll road both ways, and it was quite a distance, almost an hour drive.
it was only an hour. I thought it was like 2 or 3 hours, but
No, it's only about an hour drive.
okay.
But I said, if I'm going to work in Rochester, I'm going to have to move to Rochester, and I really don't want to move to Rochester.
Yeah.
And then I got the opportunity to move to Loveland, Colorado, with your mother was jumping up and down. Yeah, go.
So she did get homesick, obviously.
Oh, she was a third generation native Coloradoan, and
Right.
she didn't want to. Yeah, she was real gung ho about coming back. And I had severance pay coming because I was laid off they laid off some people in December and Christmas week, which was really, we felt very barbarian, but I didn't get laid off. And then in January, I got laid off. Well, because I got laid off in January, I had earned my 2 weeks of sick time and my 2 weeks of vacation time as soon as I got into January. So I used that time to go to Colorado to do my interviewing, which was godsend. I never could have planned it that way.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask you this one, and I think I know the answer, but we'll just ask anyhow. Did you ever consider returning to farming once you left the Air Force?
Never considered returning to farming after I went into the Air Force because I had technical knowledge and a career. I actually did consider staying in the Air Force, but I was tired of working Air Training Command, and one of the things that they used to offer was base of choice when you re-enlisted, and they decided not to do it anymore about the time I'm ready to re-enlist. So I said, I'm not going to re-enlist and stay here on the Air Training Command because it's too much what we called gung-ho stuff. You get up in the morning and go and stand in parade rest because some general might be going to land at the airport or some stupid thing like that. That was not my bailiwick.
All right. Last question from Jill. What do you see as an obvious truth that most people just don't get?
What do I see? An obvious truth that most people don't get?
Wide open on that one, Dad.
Wow.
Could be politics, it could be religion, it could be life choices, it could be anything.
I think that how we live our lives in front of people is what is important. And one of that's what I feel. I mean, I think I have a multitude of friends because I live my life in front of them. I don't hide my secrets. I don't go and stab them in the back. I think that would be mostly my answer to that question if I got it anywhere near the ballpark.
Like I said, it doesn't matter.
Does?
It does not matter.
Okay, I'm gonna pause just for a second.